Righty. So now we're official. I wanted to start out by sharing with you all that we raised a lot of money. I did make a donation to Medicine Without Borders. I donated $1,000 between what you gave and matching it. And just want to thank you all. I'm really, really grateful. I will continue to post the link for those of you that didn't donate last class and want to donate, just donate directly to them. That would be fantastic. Or to any group of your choice. I chose them because they're supporting both the Turkey and the Syria side, and I really wanted to make sure that we were addressing both groups that got hit by this. And of course, they also have funds being raised for Ukraine, and you can go down the list. There are obviously many areas in the world in need. So thank you all. I want to share today that our theme of today's class is called The Wilderness Within. Wilderness Within. And a friend of mine recently asked on Facebook, she was doing this little poll of like, what's your favorite, this is Christine Wishke, if you don't know her, she's a myofascial yogi up in Canada. And she was asking, you know, what are your favorite kind of yoga cues being given in a class? And I wrote in there, allow your favorite animal, allow your body to move like your favorite animal just waking up from a nap. And that has, for me, been kind of just that sweet spot. And of course, if you've taken with me before, you've heard me say it and you'll hear it today, but there's something about just allowing our bodies to move the way that they want to move, to not feel like we have to corral them, to perfect anything, to make something happen. And so that really is the guidance today, although I will be offering opportunities for specific shapes. They're all a home base for exploration. You can make everything yours. Please make everything yours. It is that inner listening that makes this practice magnificent, right? It takes it out of something that can feel rote into something that can really just feel like it's a transformational process. You are listening to you and something new will unfold. So, you know, one of the things particularly for today is that we're going to really focus in on all of the nature, all of the invitations for imagining and visualizing aspects of nature within our yoga practice, right? We get invited to be a cow or a cat or a dog, or a lion, or a camel, or a tree, or a mountain. Well, that's kind of cool, right? And as we go into these shapes, I invite you to actually play with visualizing them, right? That's not just so much the name of the pose, right? But it's the invocation of an energy. And to allow that to be playful. Again, we don't have to get what mountain means as an objective rightness, but what is mountain for you? What is a tree for you today? What does it mean to be a scaredy cat and round your spine, right? Just be playful with it. We'll be accessing what I call the healing power of instinctual movements, and you'll have an opportunity to explore a sequence of instinctual shapes that are really specific for honing in your intuition and facilitating an integrated felt sense of yourself. So that's the frame for today. I have a few quotes. I have a few poems. You are welcome to receive these quotes and poems seated or laying on your back or in any shape that you so choose. You might want to go into a child's pose, whatever serves you. Our first quote is from Joanna Macy and her book, World as Lover, World as Self. We are our world knowing itself. We can relinquish our separateness. We can come home again and participate in our world in a richer, more responsible, and poignantly beautiful way than before. When we connect to the wilderness within, I truly, deeply believe that we have a felt sense of our deep interconnection with this planet that we share, that we are the protectors of, that we step even a little bit more fully into that sense of responsibility to protect her. And the second quote, Bill Plotkin, from his book, Nature and the Human Soul. Nature too supports our personal blossoming if we have any quiet exposure to her through her spontaneities, through her beauty, power and mirroring, through her dazzling variety of species and habitats, and by the way of the wind, moon, sun, stars, and galaxies. Perhaps we'll step in and be a little bit of all that today. And our poems. The first is really recognizing that we often show up, especially those of us who carry a certain degree of sensitivity for what is happening on this planet that we share. We show up on our yoga mats, sometimes with a quality of heaviness or even despair for what is occurring around us. It can feel so big, even overwhelming. And so this is the invitation that nature can hold us in a way that allows us to find just a little bit of grace and freedom, even when it's heavy. This is The Peace of Wild Things. I know it's a favorite of some of yours. Yeah. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. And that is The Peace of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. Taking a few breaths there, letting perhaps your own despair for what the world presents, your world or this world around us, let that be held as we connect to that quality of nature around us and within us. And as we prepare to move and allow ourselves to wake up like your favorite animal, just waking up from a nap, I couldn't do this class without pairing one of my most favorite poems ever by Mary Oliver. This is Wild Geese. Yeah. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes. Over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting. over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. All right, a moment perhaps to rub your palms together. And then taking the warmth of your hands that you have generated and allowing your head to rest for a moment. Perhaps sensing the support of your hands, the darkness now that surrounds your eyes. And even giving way just for a little bit here to the heaviness, letting the weight of your head go into your hands. Letting your exhale sigh something out. And then if it feels right, just allowing your fingers to begin to smooth across your forehead from center of brows out towards the temples, maybe rotating there. Finding that soothing action, this welcoming of yourself just as you are, across your cheekbones, outward towards your ears. Maybe even greeting your ears, rolling out or in your earlobes. And repeat a few sweeping movements. Perhaps you begin to find your jaw. You can massage across the joint of the jaw, under your ears. Oh, open and close your mouth. Stick out your tongue. Waking up through the expressiveness of your face that we so often begin to mask or tighten around. You can growl, you can gnash your teeth. Right? We don't have to hold back in this moment, letting it be in service of reclaiming that wilderness within, that wildness of you. Letting your voice go. Maybe a few rotations of your shoulders in one direction and the other. And with that, continue to find your way into you. I shall shift back onto my mat and we will dive further in together. Okay. So to start now that you can kind of see a little bit more of how I'm seated here, I'm going to invite you to perhaps, if it feels right for you, bring soles of feet together and knees can be wide. And if your knees are up high and if you want to place something under them, you can do so. I always recommend having some pillows, blankets, blocks, whatever you need to really support yourself in every practice. And we're going to begin with a modified tortoise shape. And in tortoise, we're going to allow your upper body to become the shell. And you might, in traditional form of this, we slide the hands under the legs and wrap hands around your feet. Now, that's not necessary, and that might be quite a bit too low for your upper body, in which case you might place a block and continue to support your head in your hands. in whatever form you're taking. Coming back to breath, and perhaps even imagining that tortoise shell really has your back. In this shape, we even protect the organs of our body just the way the shell of the tortoise would do. If it feels okay on your neck, you might let your neck hang heavy for a moment. And with this inward turn of your attention, allowing yourself to arrive just a little bit more fully, and perhaps even to set your own intention for what you would like to get out of this time that we have together in practice. And then slowly walking yourself back up. Taking your time to transition, to arrive as you lift your gaze. And from here, maybe placing your fingertips behind you just for a little bit of support as you begin to find your butterfly wings. So now our legs become the wings of the butterfly, and you can begin to just bounce, just a little flapping of the wings here for a moment. Letting that rhythmic bounce just move through you. You might even hum a sound, let your voice go. And then letting that bounce come back to stillness, you can continue to support yourself with your hands. And you might even feel the resonance still, a little vibration or tingling or energy. Like the monarchs flying through the forest. And from here, invitation to take your feet out a little wider. Well, mine are at the edges of my mat, although I'm going to face you here. And then allowing yourself to drop both knees to one side. And in this case, I'm going to the right. Left knee has fallen to the inside of my right foot. And I begin to walk my hands back. So finding your range of motion, there's no right or wrong. And we've got a deer foundation in our legs. So you might imagine now our sweet deer living in the forest where the monarchs have flown above. And as I was sharing earlier, every posture gets to be a home base here for some exploratory movement. So you might begin to find a little bit of your own free form. Let your body begin to wake up in this shape. You might come in and out of the twist. You might find some movement of your left hip forward and back. Let your breath begin to source through you. Let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. And when you feel ready, we'll find our way to the other side. This time, my right knees come inside my left foot and beginning to find the range for that twist. And then let it feel natural and good to you? How does your body want to make this shape your very own? Beautiful. And then when you feel ready, coming back to center, and for a few breaths here, just side to side, your rhythm. You might choose to even lower down or lift up, right? You get to be super creative. The world offers itself up to your imagination. And then when you feel complete, returning back to center. And from here, an invitation to bring your left leg up, and we'll find a little bit of rotational movement around, I said left, let's do left, around your left ankle. And you can go in one direction and then the other. Good. And then if you'd like, taking your hand around your foot, a hand on your knee, and giving your leg a nice, big, wide open rock, or even some circular motions here. Beautiful. And then an invitation to take your left leg long, now in a half butterfly. Okay, so right leg in that butterfly shape. And as we lean toward your left leg, feeling, waking up, generously attending to the sensation behind your left leg. Maybe the hands, your hands can greet the skin of your left leg all the way down, perhaps to your foot. You can bend your leg as much as you need to reach there. Greeting the sensations on the sole of your foot, your toes. Oh, hello. Waking up. And then perhaps even leaning towards the side. And if at any point you want to pause, linger, rest in any shape that I offer, stay there longer, it's your practice. From here, invitation to plant right hand, lifting hips, a moment of reach, stretch, and exhale as we settle back down, maybe even reaching back over your left leg one more time. This time, bringing your left leg with you, and maybe, and I mean maybe, stacking left ankle over your right knee. So this brings us into what we would call a seated pigeon, and it can be intense. Once again, having a pillow or a blanket or a block underneath left knee to give some support can always be a valuable way to approach this. And you might be way up here and just greeting that edge of sensation. All is welcome. Some of you might want a little bit more, and you might even lean a little bit further into your hips. So as we come into the wilderness within, our hips are a territory we get to explore. And you can find how deep in the woods you want to walk here, right? Are you going in a little bit? Do you have your backpack and your flashlights and everything you need for the journey ahead? You get to decide. All right, we're going to lift on out. This time, left foot up and over, grounding left foot on the outside of your right foot, right knee, excuse me. And we're coming into a seated Lord of the Fish, a seated twist. So in our seated twist, I have an opportunity to begin to twist toward your lifted left leg. And you can place your left fingertips behind you. You might even reach up through your right arm and either take hold with your hand or cross with your elbow, but you are honoring, listening, especially with twists, that soft animal of your body is guiding your movement. Even in the turning of your head, perhaps over your left shoulder, the reaching of your eyes, it's coming from within rather than as a directive. And unwinding, letting that go, releasing your left leg, shake it out. And we'll find all of that on side two, beginning to rotate through your right ankle in one direction and the other. And then taking your foot and knee, nice big wide rocking motion or circular motion. And our half butterfly. And greeting your right leg. Waking up through the sensations in hamstring and calf. You can bend your knee, reach your foot. Give the sole of your foot some love. Greet each toe. All the way down to those feet, right? You can use your hands here to wake up through the skin on the top of your leg. And then maybe a side body lean over towards the right. You can keep left hand on your hip, or maybe you reach overhead. And this time, planting left hand, lifting your hips, just a quick little greeting of this shape. And back down. Into that forward fold, if you like, once again. And then as we lift, bringing right leg with you, and maybe finding that variation of seated pigeon. Now, sometimes this posture gets referred to as fire logs. You can imagine here that heat that begins to generate in your hips. And we've got ourselves sitting around a big global campfire together. So as we are sitting in the wilderness around our campfire, we sometimes tell stories. And you can just allow yourself to feel this global community waking up together. We'll lift right on out of that. Right foot to the outside of your left knee or thigh. You can walk that left foot back towards your right hip. You can get a visual here. And then maybe right fingertips behind. You can find that length of your spine. And then half Lord of the Fish as we twist. And you can take that left hand or elbow around. But we're being very mindful to let this twist come from that internal sensory experience of finding maybe the edge and even backing away from it. So we're not focused on the external shape, but it's this internal sensation. This is you right here. I like the story of the Lord of the Fish. It's an incarnation of Vishnu coming down to save the world from a massive flood that's threatening to take everything that is known and destroy it. And Vishnu incarnates as half fish, half human. Studies yoga. All right, little unwind here. Let's shake out the legs together. Just let something go from your hips. You can windshield wiper your feet one direction and the other. All righty. Beautiful. And from here, I will invite you to find just one more little seated shape before we come down onto our backs. This is an invitation to come into what we'll call a porpoise flow. So it's seated once again, and it's a spinal movement, like you are diving into the ocean and lifting back out. Just finding a little spinal wave here. Lovely. And from here, feet in front, let's roll all the way down to your back. And once you've arrived on your back, let it all shake out once again. You can shake out through your legs, your arms. You can be a little bit like I don't know, a turtle on its back for a moment. Don't worry, we won't let it get stuck there. And then releasing your feet down, and here, like your favorite animal, just waking up from a nap, maybe a puppy dog, or a kitty cat, a lion, a tiger, a bear. You get to choose. Just knees can go from side to side, stretching one side, contracting the other. Full body yawn. Let it feel good. So good. And back to center. All right. Hands behind your back if that feels okay to you, lifting your feet, and we'll find a little cross crawl here. So we can sense this quality of crawling through the wilderness, but we're on our back. I don't know, you can do with this one as you'd like, but just allowing yourself to find the little integration side to side, crossing midline, waking up through your core. Beautiful. And we'll complement this one with bringing both soles of feet together or sides of feet together, and clamshell, bringing knees and elbows together, and then opening wide. You get to choose the range of motion for legs and arms here. And feel that contraction into the center body, and open and stretch and contract it in. Beautiful. On this next one, we'll contract in Hold here, elbows to knees, knees to the backs of the arms, I should say. Lift your arms straight, like you're planting your hands up on the ceiling or the sky if you're outside. Feel a tight contraction for a moment, and then let it go. We're going to go back into that, but for a moment, pause. You might even rotate your knees in one direction and the other. And then starting with the clamshells, once again, hands behind head, exhale, contract, inhale, open. Even those clams really have something to teach us. Feel that tight drawing in, and you get to choose when you open. One more time. Open it up. This next one, we're going to draw in, knees to the backs of the arms, sending your arms long for just a moment. Contract, press, press, press. We're in a supine crow pose, a little teaser for what's to come, and then let it go. Head releases down. You can rotate through your knees one direction and the other. And then hands behind your knees and a few rock and rolls on your spine. Beautiful. And we're going to rock right up to sitting, Navasana boat pose. Now we're in the water, okay? You might lift your feet. You can keep your toes down, totally up to you. You might keep hands behind your knees, or you might bring your arms parallel to your legs. You can stay here. You might choose to row your boat. And if you're doing so, just moving a little side to side, you can have your hands towards each other at heart center and dipping one elbow back to the center and to the side. Finding your breath with the shape. And inhale, center. Exhale over your shins into tabletop. And a few breaths here. Yes, we are in cat and cow, and we are in a lovely opportunity for you to move your body however it wants to move. So you might stay with that traditional lifting head, tail, inhale. Exhale, arch your spine, maybe lift to fingertips. And then home base, make it yours. Beautiful. From here, an invitation to send your left leg back. Planting left toes, a few rocks on the toes, waking up the calf once again. Waking up through your ankle. And then inhale, lifting your leg, exhale under your body. Inhale, exhale to your shoulder. Again, inhale back, exhale under. Inhale to the side. One more time, under. Listen carefully, inhale back. Exhale to the side and plant your foot down. Some of you have done this with me before. If you're new, you'll find your way into a half squat. Now, a half squat can look a lot of different ways. It might be lifted up because your body says, my knees don't like to be too tight. Or for some of you, you might be sitting on your right ankle. No right or wrong, no better nor worse. In whichever shape you're choosing, and you can also sit on a block, we're going to begin to just find some spinal movements. You can imagine here that you are, again, some kind of wild creature, and that those movements can take you in any direction, right? So that we're using this as that home base. You can gather, reach, pull, right? You can twist and turn. And we're going to revisit a shape that we found a little earlier. We're going to take that right hand out, send left leg long. Oh, here we are, lifted once again, and then curl it in. And two more like that. Reach, extend, and contract. And reach, extend, and contract. And then from here is allowing yourself to roll forward, tabletop. And we'll find all that on side 2. Sending right foot back. A few pulses. And then right leg to lift and under. Lift, knee to shoulder. Lift and under. To shoulder. One more time and under. This time as we come forward, foot comes down, and you're either in that lifted shape where you're moving your spine and you're reaching and you're stretching, and you can even come to that opening, or you're in that contraction. And either way, taking your time here, just feeling the potentiality from this shape. You can go in any direction, right? Very instinctual. And then perhaps left hand plants as we open and contract and open and contract. One more time. Well done. And then from here to table and to puppy dog. In puppy dog, traditionally, the hips stay lifted over your knees. As you walk your hands forward, heart to earth, forehead to earth, and breathing into the back of your heart. Maybe sigh something out. Maybe lifting up onto fingertips. Some of you may want to reach chin forward, just being honoring of the back of your neck. And then slowly unwinding, planting hands. We're coming back through a tabletop. And then from our tabletop, curling toes under and pressing back, downward facing dog. And first time here in this shape, so you might walk it out. You might bend both knees and send your hips from side to side. You can wag your tail. Let your head be heavy. For today's purposes, we'll walk feet out wide to the edges of the mat. Toes can be slightly out, and an invitation to bend your knees as you walk your hands back towards your feet, and we arrive at a squat. Now, again, you can be up higher, right? So you can explore this and however your body wants to arrive in this shape. And if you're down lower, allowing yourself to just move a little from side to side. You can lift one heel and lower the other. Good. And then we arrive at center, whatever that means for you. And maybe take the hands off the floor. And for our purposes today, we're going to reach them upward. Now, that's quite an intense shape, whichever version of this you're taking. We're going to bring our gaze upward. We're going to press into feet. Let your strong legs press downward to lift you all the way to standing. Ooh, big transition, big gravity shift. And we're going to do it again. Some of you are used to this with me. We're going to gather, 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 come all the way back down to earth. Really stay with that connection to this earth, to this ground beneath you, feeling your feet, legs, hips, reaching with your arms, keeping that downward connection, pressing into it to lift upward so that we can become human, but not forget that core instinctual connection that we all have to the animal body. Beautiful. Letting your hands rest for a moment, perhaps by your sides, maybe stepping your feet underneath your hips. And we'll take a basic mountain here. Arriving in your mountain pose, maybe even imagining one of your very favorite mountains. Even in this shape, a slight soft micro bend in your knees, keeping your ankles wide, soles of the feet open to sense and feel your connection to the earth. Maybe from here you exalt your mountain by bringing your arms up overhead. Still connection to earth right here. And we'll come into some side bends here. I'll invite today a wave-like form, and I like to step my feet just a little wider for this. And then leaning one way, pressing the palms, coming through center, and pressing in the other direction. So that we have this solid earthy connection in the legs and this watery movement in your upper body. Beautiful. And then coming back to center. Inhale, perhaps sweeping your arms up overhead, and exhale, your version of a lifted heart, a slight back bend here. I'm going to start with hands in back pockets, nice and supportive for the lower back. Inhale, and exhale to a forward fold. From a forward fold, we'll pause at a halfway lift. Continue to breathe right here. Again, a nice bend in the knees to protect the low back. And the invitation here is to lengthen out through the head. So the spine is nice and long, like the tortoise now is coming a little bit out of its shell. Lengthening the crown of your head forward. And on an exhale, forward fold once again. This time, planting your hands, stepping back from a high plank and lowering down, knees bending here, chest and chin, a little inchworm moment, and exhale to the earth. No creature too small to be honored here. Hands under shoulders, and let's find some rolling cobras. Inhale. And exhale. You can rotate your shoulders up, back, and down. And resting to earth. You choose how much lift of your spine, how much weight in your hands. One more here. And then from here, invitation to press back up through table and your choice, child's pose or puppy dog or downward facing dog. Knowing that at any moment in our practice, we have choices that honor the level of energy that we're bringing with us on the mat. And then when you feel ready, if you're not already in downward facing dog, we'll meet there. From your downward facing dog, we're going to do a little bit of a playful experience here, okay? So again, something we've done in class before for those of you that have come, and if you're new, you can feel this out. So in this little experiment, we're going to bend both knees. We're going to find a little crouching tiger motion here. So nice, deeply bent knees, heels are lifted. You can even gaze forward in this shape. And from here, this feeling of we can kind of send the shoulders forward. We can move in a lot of different directions from this shape. It's very instinctual. For today, we're going to start by stepping right foot to right hand, kind of behind it here. You can try that a few times, just get that in your body. And once you've got right foot forward, we're going to bend left knee and send left foot forward. We're going to take right hand to right knee, left hand to to left knee, and then down and back and back, okay? Left foot forward, and we'll do that a few times. Feeling that potential movement. It's coming right from your sacrum, right from your tailbone. All right, next time left foot comes forward, we pause. Right foot forward, pause. Left hand, right to the earth, left to the earth, right foot back, left foot back. Beautiful. We're going to do that whole little process again. Right foot forward, left foot forward, right hand, left hand, right hand, left foot, right foot. You might be feeling this. I know I am. My heartbeat's in there too. Left foot forward, right foot forward, left hand, right hand, left hand, right foot, left foot. Ah, beautiful. Okay, so catch your breath. Arrive, notice, sensing the aliveness in response. And an option here. Once again, from our tiger pounce, a little potentiality here. You can step, just as we did, or some of you might play with a pounce, right? And that pounce is stepping both feet forward, okay? And you might get a little hang time, and there's no right or wrong, and you can skip all of this and be hanging out in child pose. One more time, if you're playing with the pounce. And however you want to get there, whoever you are, right? We'll find our way to the front of the mat. That's where we're going to meet, is in this forward fold. All right. From our forward fold, finding that halfway lift. Exhale. Inhale to standing. Exhale to mountain pose. And shake it out for a moment. Shake out one leg. Shake out the other leg. And your shoulders and your arms and your hips and your jaw and your voice. And then perhaps a moment of stillness. Soften the knees, soften the ankles. The wilderness within. And we'll find a variation of that sun salutation. Inhale, sweeping your arms. Exhale, wave form one direction. Inhale through center and exhale the other way. 2 more times each side. Beautiful. Coming through center. This time, maybe we find a lifting of the heart with a goalpost in the arms. You can always bring hands to sacrum once again. Inhale to lift. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale, planting hands, stepping back, high plank. This time an option to come down halfway to low plank. And perhaps rolling over the toes, upward facing dog, always coming to the earth for cobra as an option, or skipping all of this we meet in downward facing dog. And as we explored before, feet wide to the edges of the mat, walking hands back, meeting in a Bakasana, or excuse me, a Malasana, a little frog squat here. Bakasana is where we might go to play. Okay, Bakasana stands for crow pose. And in our optional here, we did it on our back. So it's totally, just experiment, right? There's no need to get your feet off the ground. So in this one, we plant our hands, we bring our knees to the backs of the arms like we did on our backs, and we begin to lean forward. And you might begin to experiment with taking one foot off the mat and the other, or maybe both, and you find a little balance and play. You are gazing forward, not back. If you curl your head down, you're more likely to go into a somersault. Not the worst thing to happen. The ground's not that far below you, but finding your way in, playing there for a few more breaths if you'd like. Eventually, we'll all meet in child's pose. So just tuning in to how your body wants to make this yours, honoring the level of energy that you bring with you today. Beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. All right. Take your time. And if you're already in child's pose, find your breath. If you're not there yet, perhaps join us. Sometimes when we come into stillness, we can feel the swirling, the continued movement within as a response to the movement that we took without. Allowing yourself to notice, receive, digest this experience. Beautiful. Slowly, slowly coming back through table. And from tabletop, we'll meet in a downward facing dog, bringing the connection through those points of contact, the earth with you. From downward facing dog, I'll invite you to lift your right leg. Exhale, curling your knee under and stepping right foot forward and through. And you might take a few breaths here. You might even use blocks to find your own exploration in and out of your low lunge. Beautiful. You can bend into that front leg, maybe take the knee off the earth or settle the knee down. Send your hips back, reading your hip flexors and hamstring. And then eventually I'll invite you to meet in a low lunge and walk your hands to the inside of your right foot. You can toe heel your right foot out to the edge of your mat. And we'll prepare here for lizard. Again, pretty favorite primal shape here. And in lizard, you might stay up on your hands. You might use your blocks here even and come up higher, or you can use your blocks and come onto forearms. Some of you might choose to come onto forearms on the mat. And it really just depends on what is going to take you to that right edge of sensation for you. So you might start with that left knee lifted. You might lower left knee down. And each of those variations of this shape will take you into different sensations in your hips, hip flexors. So you can vary this, really fine tune what brings you home. And then eventually I'll invite you to bring your hands back down to toe heel right foot back to the center of your mat. And to send your left heel down to the mat as we prepare to come up into a warrior two base. And arriving in this shape, you might bring hands to hips and come in and out of your lunge once again. And then settling in, pressing downward, feeling that stable base in your legs. And you guessed it, we're going to find the wave in the upper body. Inhale, reach away. And exhale as we course forward towards the shore. Moving with your breath. We'll inhale all the way up into a 5-pointed star. And turning both feet, angling outward here. Might even shake your hips a little. And then hands to hips, bending the knees. And we'll find our way into horse. Sometimes we refer to this as goddess, but today we'll go with horse because we're going to really focus on that downward connection to the earth through your legs. Since we get to be super creative with our imagination, we might even play here with a lion horse, okay? And I'll invite you to join me in a few lion's breaths here. Stick your tongue out, let a sound come out, let it be fierce, cross your eyes, and let something go. One more time. Beautiful. Lifting all the way up through 5-pointed star. And we're going to turn towards back of mat, this time with 2 straight legs. Inhale, reach away, reverse triangle. And exhale, reach, 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 rotate. And finding your way into a Trikonasana. You can have a micro bend in your left knee. Gaze might be down to the side or up. And then from here, a little rebend into the left knee just to lift for a moment. And exhale as we come into a low lunge over your left leg and finding your way in on this side. So we can find that coming in and out. You might even use blocks here to come in and out of your lunge. What story does this side of your body have for you? What is it needing from you? And eventually, I'll invite you to prepare for lizard on this side. In our lizard, we're walking left foot out to the left and perhaps up on your fingertips, your hands using blocks, or maybe forearms to blocks or forearms to the earth. And experimenting, maybe right knee is lifted, or maybe it lowers down. You might even on this side give a little hiss. Feel the inner lizard in you. Stick your tongue out. Beautiful. And then pressing hands, grounding your right heel. And then begin to lift all the way up, 5-pointed star, hands to hips. You can wiggle it out for a moment. And we come into warrior 2 on the left. So really finding your strong leggy stance here, right? Pressing downward, feeling roots extending downward, and our fluid, watery upper body. Inhale and exhale. Moving with your breath. Beautiful. We will inhale up through center, reach wide. Toes pointed out, knees moving in that direction into horse. And this time, an invitation of hand over your heart, connecting to breath. I'm going to shift animals on you once again, and an invitation to imagine that you are riding a large elephant. And perhaps you are the elephant being ridden. However, you want to approach this, feeling the elephant legs connecting to the earth. One slow step at a time. And then pressing into feet, lifting up. Turning towards your right foot. Here we are towards the front of mat and preparing for reverse triangle. And exhale, long reach. Rotate your hands, your arms, and a few breaths here. And perhaps a shape that feels more geometric than what we've explored yet today. And softening your gaze, softening through your right knee, it's just enough to lift up. And exhale back to the earth. Right foot steps back to meet the left. And this time, walking your feet forward for a halfway lift. Folding in. And all the way up to standing. I will offer up a balancing shape in tree pose. In tree pose, I'll choose left leg as our rooted standing leg first, and right leg begins to lighten her grip on the earth. Now, you might stay here with your toes on the earth, or you might begin to bring the sole of your right foot to the inside of your standing left leg, above or below your knee. And you might choose to bring your hands to heart center. Then you might choose to extend the branches of your tree. You might even bring to mind a favorite tree. Knowing that very often those trees that we appreciate in nature have been shaped by the elements. They're not perfectly symmetrical. They have their gnarled branches. And perhaps you too can appreciate your own unique ways that you have been shaped by the elements of your life to become just who you are. And when you feel ready, bringing 2 feet to the earth and pausing for a moment, maybe releasing your left leg, shake it out. Knowing that now right leg gets to be our nice strong tree trunk, and you can lift left heel, staying here, using a wall, a chair for balance, or maybe finding your variation. With legs, with your branches. And perhaps with that intention of accepting yourself just as you are. And eventually, planting 2 feet down onto the earth, returning to your mountain, perhaps that favorite mountain that comes to mind. And when you feel ready, once again, we'll draw arms up overhead as a transition to a forward fold. Maybe a halfway lift here. And exhale, planting hands. Invitation once again to step back, high plank, and lowering knees, chest and chin through inchworm. And then settling it all down to the earth. A moment here for crocodile. Crocodile invites you to bring both feet wider than the mat, turning the toes out, the heels in, stacking palms, and resting forehead on top of your stacked hands. You might wiggle your hips a little side to side, or you might settle into stillness. Perhaps returning to some imagery here of the scaly back of the crocodile, and the big, long jaws, and the eyes that can see all around. Nice protector shape. Even if you draw your attention inward, the crocodile can keep a lookout for you. And then a gentle invitation to send your feet straight back behind you. And this time to lift up onto your forearms with elbows under your shoulders. So in our Sphinx shape, we'll find your way here for a moment, and we're going to find a Sphinx frog. Sphinx frog here invites you to take your left knee and bend it 90-90 so that even your foot gets a little 90-degree bend here. You might curl your right toes under and once again give yourself a little pulsation, a little rocking motion. And then uncurling your right toes and perhaps pressing into your left hand to gaze over your left shoulder. And in this shape, one of my very favorites, you can come in and out for a few breaths, finding your range of motion. And this beautiful way of greeting your hips and even the asymmetry that is part of who you are. Right? Letting yourself meet the edges. And then returning to center, returning left forearm and left leg back. And a moment of pause between the two sides in Sphinx. Drawing your elbows and forearms back and heart forward. Even your ears get to draw back, so your head stacks over your shoulders a little more. And then from here, bending through your right leg and your left toes under. A few rocking motions here if you'd like. And then untucking left toes, right hand might plant as you find a few rotational movements gazing over your right shoulder. Beautiful. Back through to center, unwind your leg, releasing down for a moment, and then simply pressing back to sit on your heels. Once again, this is a beautiful place of pause. And if you'd like one more guided shape, one more exertion shape, I should say, we'll have one more guided shape after this. But one more exertion shape would be camel. And in camel, we'll have options once again. Option one is to place your hands in your back pockets, and you can curl your toes under. And we're lifting the heart, right, so that it's more of a heart lift than it is a leaning back. And we're sending the hips forward, connecting to breath. Beautiful place to stay. Option two would be to send hands towards heels, toes curled under. And once again, you can begin to lift your heart, send your hips forward. You do not need to send your head back. In fact, if you have any neck injury, that's probably contraindicated. You might lift your chin, but we're not collapsing in the neck. Option 3 is you can take that same shape just a little deeper by untucking the toes, sending hips forward, lifting heart, lifting chin. Connecting to breath. And when you feel complete, lifting up, returning to sitting on heels or a block. And receiving how your body responds to the shape. Maybe even here, imagining your favorite kind of camel, one hump or two, walking in your favorite landscape. And then slowly preparing for one final transition. So the last guided shape will be a supported fish. And a supported fish, it's very helpful to have blocks, bolsters, things that make this comfy for you, okay? And you can choose height of blocks. You can really create something with a bolster, for example, or pillows or blankets that lets this be super comfy for you, right? Depending on what you're needing for your shape, right? So that you could let yourself lean back, lift your heart on something, whether it's with a bolster if you happen to have one, or without, that allows your heart to be lifted slightly. And sometimes it takes a little fiddling with those blocks to get it just right, and perhaps your head to be supported. And ideally, your arms get to open, which is the opening across the chest. And if your head's too high, you can adjust things to lower it back just a little, opening across the front of your throat. Your legs might extend long. And in our fish pose, going back in time perhaps to when we were all fish, tapping in to that primordial wisdom, in the way that our spine has evolved with all of our sensory system to help us navigate the waters of life. And sensing how your breath is able to move through your body now. And you can stay here for the remainder of our time, or if you prefer to come into more classic Shavasana, you can press up, remove your blocks, and settle back down onto the earth. even here, how does it feel to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves? Supported, settled. We are our world knowing itself. We can relinquish our separateness. We can come home again. Nature too supports our personal blossoming. And whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination. Calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Take as much time as you would like to reside here. It was an active practice, and you might choose to spend another 10, 20 minutes just here integrating. And for those of you that need to or are ready to proceed with your morning or your evening, finding some soft movements, fingertips, toes, wiggling as you need to. Maybe rocking to one side, pausing there. And eventually pressing back up to sitting. And we'll take a final moment here to formally close together. Maybe one hand today over your belly, one over your heart. And just a gentle bow of your chin, appreciating the soft animal of your body and appreciating your mind's ability to follow and honor. From the wilderness within me, I bow to the wilderness within you. Namaste.